customized gear. I spent hours tinkering away, crafting my own equipment and tweaking existing gear to perfection. Hey, why settle for off the rack when you can tailor-make everything to your liking? Now, if you took one look at my character, you might think I'm just your run-of-the-mill warrior. And yeah, I do warrior things like swinging swords and slaying monsters. But here's the kicker, I'm also a bit of a spellcaster on the side. See, while most warriors are all brawn and no brains, I've got a little something extra up my sleeve. Thanks to my massive MP pool, Vampire has high mana from beginning and arsenal of tiered spells, I can make even the most seasoned magic caster green with envy. So yeah, I may look like your average sword-swinging brute, but don't be fooled, I've got a few tricks hidden up my armor sleeves. And there is also another Easter egg, you see I have a special ring. This aren't your ordinary piece of bling, oh no, this ring got a special knack for hiding some of my stats from prying eyes. Now, you might be wondering, why go through all the trouble of keeping my stats under wraps? Well, let's just say I've been attracting a bit too much attention lately. You see, I'm not your average player. I'm not even your above-average player. I'm what you might call a game breaker, a force to be reckoned with in the world of Yggdrasil. I'm talking next-level strength here, folks. Like, if you were to compare me to your average Joe player with the same level, it'd be like pitting a bunny against a lion. No contest, I could take him down with one hand tied behind my back, no sweat. But let's be real here. A player walking around like the undisputed king of the jungle, that's bound to turn some heads. And not in a good way, mind you. Folks starting to whisper, rumors starting to spread, and the last thing I need is a mob of nosy adventurers poking around where they don't belong. So with my trusty ring doing its thing, I can carry on with my grind in peace, without all the unwanted attention cramping my style. Cause let's face it, in a game like Yggdrasil, it's survival of the strongest. And if keeping a low profile means staying one step ahead of the competition, then you better believe I'm all in. Besides, who needs enemies when you've got your own stats to worry about, am I right? But so far, my everyday life has been a merry-go-round of grinding, hunting, mining, raiding dungeons, and tackling quests. Some might call it peaceful, but I prefer to think of it as the calm before the storm. I'm just here, biding my time, waiting for the chaos to kick in like an unexpected plot twist in a bad movie. Sure, I might be enjoying this leisurely pace for now, but let's not kid ourselves. This game is about as predictable as a squirrel on roller skates, anything could happen at any moment. But for now, I'm taking it easy and enjoying the calm before the storm. Life's good, real good. That is actually about to end. In the death plains of Helheim, chaos erupted as loud cries and explosions echoed through the eerie landscape. Amidst the commotion, I found myself locked in combat with none other than a no-life king. Now, these undead kings aren't your average monsters. They're like the leaders of a spooky squad, not because they team up to terrorize players, but because they've got some serious necromancy skills. These guys can raise all sorts of undead minions, think skeleton knights, mages, you name it, and throw them at you like a creepy undead army. And let me tell you, they're not afraid to play dirty. They'll pull sneaky moves and ambush you when you least expect it. Seriously, they make cowards look brave. But here I am, facing off against this no-life king like a champ. Sure, it's a tough fight, but I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, or should I say, in my inventory. As the no-life king unleashed a barrage of spells and summoned his skeletal minions, I dodged and weaved like a pro. With each explosion and bone-rattling cry, I couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity of it all. Here I am, just a regular old vampire warrior, taking on the big bad boss of the Death Plains. But hey, in a world like Yggdrasil, you gotta roll with the punches, even if those punches are coming from a horde of undead minions. As I parried and slashed my way through the chaos, I couldn't help but appreciate the irony of the situation. Who would have thought that a day in the life of a virtual adventurer would involve duking it out with an undead king in the middle of a cursed wasteland? Despite the danger and the overwhelming odds, I kept my cool, well, as cool as a bloodthirsty vampire can be, anyway. With each swing of my sword and every spell I unleashed, I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was what it was all about, the thrill of the fight, the rush of battle, and the satisfaction of coming out on top. And let me tell you, coming out on top against a no-life king. That's no small feat, but with a combination of skill, strategy, and just a dash of luck, I managed to emerge victorious. As the final explosion rocked the Death Plains, signaling the defeat of my formidable foe, I couldn't help but let out a triumphant laugh. Congratulations, you defeated the no-life king. Congratulations, you have leveled up. Level 85 greater than level 86. Congratulations, you obtained the rare item, Crown of Undeath. Congratulations, you have been given the opportunity to promote your racial class to Vampire God. As the notifications flashed before me, I couldn't help but grin from ear to ear. Now this is the kind of hard work I am looking forward to. Tilde. Leave a comment and review, if you like my story. I posted around 100 advanced chapter on Patreon, if you are interested check it out. Chapter 12, Canabel. Overlord, the multiverse by Black_Bolt. 2.1K592. Congratulations, you have been given the opportunity to promote your racial class to Vampire God. As the notifications flashed before me, I couldn't help but grin from ear to ear. Now this is the kind of hard work I am looking forward to. Quickly I selected the option to see the requirements for my racial class promotion. There was only one conditions for my racial class promotion, which was requirements for racial class promotion. Slay Canabel, the god of the bloodline of origin. Obtain Canabel's blood soul item. Failure. Can't equip any god level racial class. Are you seeing this, Death? I said. Seems like you are up for a challenge, dear, Death said with a slight smirk in her voice. I nodded, feeling a rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins. You bet I am, this is gonna be one for the history books, I replied, my voice brimming with determination. But there's one thing I am worried about. What's that? Death asked, her voice laced with curiosity. Well, I began, pausing for a moment to gather my thoughts. I think Canabel's blood soul item is used to create Shultir, so if I kill Canabel now wouldn't that affect creation of Shultir? While most didn't know, Canabel is one of the god in Yggdrasil. And in canon, he was defeated by Ainzul Gown in order to obtain Canabel's blood soul item to create Shaltir Bloodfallen. Hearing me, Death's expression softened as she considered my words. Ah, I see your concern, she mused, her voice thoughtful. But fear not, dear. It will be alright, even if Canabel were to meet his end at your hands, the creation of Shaltir would still come to pass, trust me. I breathed a sigh of relief. I don't want to lose on of my favorite character, can I? That's a relief to hear, I admitted, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. With a chuckle, I straightened up, ready to face the challenge ahead. Alright then, I declared, a grin spreading across my face. Let's go give old Canabel a taste of his own medicine. Time to show him who's boss. And with that, Death and I set off on our quest, ready to confront Canabel and seize our destiny with both hands. After all, when life throws you undead gods, you grab a stake and make history. In the bone-chilling depths of Helheim, where the mist hung thick like a bad smell in a crowded elevator, a cry that could wake the dead echoed through the desolate landscape. And trust me, in a realm like this, the dead didn't need much waking up. As if dealing with undead wasn't enough, now I had to contend with two of Bloodsucker, both loyal lackeys of Canabel himself. Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place. Or in this case, between a pair of bloodthirsty vampires and a whole lot of trouble. But you know what they say, when life gives you blood-sucking lemons, you grab a steak and make some undead lemonade. Or something like that. But hey, who needs a family reunion when you've got a pair of thirsty vampires trying to turn you into their next meal? As the two bloodsuckers lunged at me with all the grace of a pair of overexcited bats, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Well, I quipped, flashing them a grin that was equal parts charming and intimidating. Looks like we've got ourselves a family reunion, huh? Who brought the garlic? With a snarl that would make Dracula himself proud, the vampires launched themselves at me, their fangs bared and their claws gleaming in the dim light. But I wasn't about to let them get the drop on me. Not when I had a reputation to uphold, and a massive ego to stroke. So, with a swift parry here and a well-timed dodge there, I danced around their attacks, striking back with all the finesse of a seasoned warrior. Sure, I may not have had centuries of undead experience under my belt, but I had something even better, a whole lot of moxie and a healthy dose of dumb luck. As the first vampire lunged at me with claws bared and fangs flashing, I sidestepped his attack with all the grace of a drunken ballerina. Nice try, Sparkles, I teased, flashing him a cocky grin. But you'll have to do better than that to catch me. The second vampire wasn't far behind, launching himself at me with all the ferocity of a rabid chihuahua. But I was ready for him, my sword slicing through the air with deadly precision as I parried his blows with ease. As the battle raged on, I found myself caught in a deadly dance of steel and shadows, with the two vampires as my reluctant partners. With each clash of our weapons, I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins, fueling my every move with a surge of raw power. But even as I fought, a nagging voice in the back of my mind reminded me of the stakes, no pun intended. If I didn't come out of this alive, who would protect Helheim from the likes of Canabel and his cronies? Oh, wait, that's right, it's just a game. With a mental shrug, I pushed aside my concerns and focused on the task at hand. These bloodsuckers weren't going to slay themselves, after all. Well, technically, they could, but where's the fun in that? With a series of well-timed strikes and dodges, I managed to outmaneuver the vampires, turning their own attacks against them with a combination of skill and luck. One by one, their health bars dwindled until finally, with a dramatic flourish, I delivered the final blow. As their digital bodies dissolved into pixels, I couldn't help but let out a whoop of triumph. Take that, you undead bloodsuckers, I exclaimed, my voice echoing through the eerie silence of Helheim. Tilde. Leave a comment and review, if you like my story. I posted around 100 advanced chapter on Patreon, if you are interested check it out. Patreon.com/blackbolt517. Chapter 13, Canabel 1. Overlord, the multiverse by Black_Bolt. 2.1K490. Moving forward, I couldn't help but be drawn to a massive door that seemed to pulsate with an eerie crimson glow. It looked like it had been fashioned from solidified blood, which, I gotta say, wasn't exactly the most inviting sight I'd ever seen. But hey, when you're about to waltz into the throne room of the big bad boss himself, you can't exactly expect a welcome mat and a cup of tea, now can you? With a deep breath and a muttered prayer to RP Jesus, I pushed open the door and stepped inside, ready to face whatever awaited me on the other side. And let me tell you, what awaited me was one hell of a sight. The throne room of Canabel was like something straight out of a horror movie, dark, foreboding, and filled with all manner of creepy decor. But the real kicker, the man, or should I say, vampire, himself, lounging on his throne like he owned the place. Which, let's be honest, he probably did. As I approached, Canabel's eyes narrowed, his gaze piercing through me like a pair of metaphorical stakes. Well, he sneered, his voice dripping with malice. If it isn't the little vampire who thinks he's a big shot. Nowadays, you can't even tell the difference between AI and humans. What's in front of me is clearly an AI, but it's adapting its responses to the situation. Hearing Canabel, I couldn't help but bristle at his words, my own bravado kicking into overdrive. Big shot, please, I scoffed, putting on my best tough guy act. I'm just here to put an end to your little reign of terror and claim my rightful place as ruler of vampires. No biggie. Canabel let out a low, humorless chuckle, his lips curling into a cruel smile. Oh, is that so? He murmured, his eyes glinting with amusement. Well then, by all means, let's see what you're made of, shall we? With that, he rose from his throne in one fluid motion, drawing a wicked-looking sword from its sheath at his side. And let me tell you, folks, it was game on. As we squared off in the center of the throne room, the tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife, or, in this case, a sword. I could feel the weight of Canabel's gaze on me, sizing me up like a piece of meat at a butcher shop. But I wasn't about to back down, not now, not ever. With a defiant roar, I charged forward, my own sword raised high and my heart pounding in my chest. Dark blade I cast, my sword enveloped in shadowy energy as I swung it towards Canabel, aiming for his midsection. Canabel, however, was no pushover. With lightning reflexes, he parried my attack with ease, the clash of our swords echoing throughout the throne room. Well, Canabel taunted, a smirk playing on his lips. Looks like the little vampire wants to play with the big boys. I gritted my teeth, ignoring his jibe. Instead, I focused on my next move, blood rush, using the spell to enhance my speed and agility as I launched a flurry of strikes towards Canabel. But the vampire god was prepared, his own spells coming into play. Shadow Step he cast, disappearing into the darkness before reappearing behind me in a blink of an eye. I spun around just in time to block his Dark Fury attack, the force of the blow sending shockwaves through my body. Nice try, I grunted, pushing against his sword with all my strength. But I'm not going down that easily. With a mighty shove, I managed to break free from his grasp, creating some distance between us. But Canabel wasn't about to let me off that easy. Blood Nova he cast, a wave